I'm joined from Dallas by a likely Republican presidential hopeful that you just saw there, Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, let me ask you the when or if you're going to run question this way. Why wouldn't you at this point run for president? What would make you decide not to run?
If I found that there really was no support for it, that would cause me not to run.
And right now you feel as if you're seeing plenty of support?
I'm seeing a very substantial amount of support across the country in red states, blue states, north, south, east, west.
Your lack of electoral experience, obviously on one hand you would say that would be an asset, career politicians, and I know that talk, but a lot of the criticism from the right of President Obama was his inexperience at managing politics, executive experience at managing a legislature. That would be a big hurdle for you, would it not?
Well, I'm not sure that the criticism of President Obama is accurate. You have to decide what it is that he wanted to accomplish. He wanted to accomplish fundamental change in America. I think he's done quite a bit of that, and he seems to know how to execute those missions.
When it comes to, so what you're saying is you feel like in his vision he's been successful at what he wanted to do?
Yes, and a vision, if I were to run and were to win, I would have a very different vision. It would be a vision of putting the Constitution back on the top shelf. It would be a vision of making our government understand that it works for the people and that the government responds to the will of the people and not picking and choosing who should win and lose, what laws we want to enforce, and that our laws that we enforce have nothing to do with our own personal beliefs. It has to do with the laws and the constitutions of this country.
Let me focus on foreign policy because I think it's been a surprisingly dominant topic even at CPAC, as we pointed out. And this is what you said at CPAC. You said the mission, when it comes to ISIS, the mission I would give our military is to destroy them first, and I wouldn't tie their hands. Explain what does that mean? When it wouldn't tie their hands, what does that mean?
Well, first of all, recognize that ISIS and some of the other radical Islamic terrorist groups, and let's not forget about the Shia, which are based in Iran, you know, they are responsible for a lot of terrorism. They would like to destroy us and our way of life. We have a couple of options. We can sit back and say, yeah, they're not that big a deal. Or we can recognize that the longer we allow them to grow, to spread, to get their roots well established, the more difficult it will be to eradicate them lately. So what I mean is we have to eradicate them now. We have to use every means possible to do that. And we certainly don't want to have people who know very little about military strategy, micromanaging a very competent military that we have.
Let me ask you something. You said something that you just referred to the Shia. Are you saying, I assume you're not saying all Shia Muslims are terrorist threats? No,
but I'm saying, you know, we focus so much on the terrorist groups that emanate from the Sunnis.
Right.
And I don't want us to forget about the other terrorist groups too.
Scott Walker was asked about foreign policy at Club for Growth over the weekend. You guys have a lot of different cattle calls that you have to attend with different donors, and I know you're flying all over the country. You're at one in Dallas. But here was one of the write-ups, and it said to take, basically, Scott Walker made this after confronted about foreign policy. He said that the experience in the realm of foreign policy is inconsequential, that it's leadership that matters, and he said that the most consequential foreign policy decision of his lifetime was Reagan's 1981 firing of 11,000 air traffic controllers. He said it sent a message that not only across America, it sent a message around the world that it wouldn't be messed with. Do you agree with his assessment that Reagan's firing of air traffic controllers was a foreign policy message?
I don't really want to talk about what anybody else said and what they meant by it, because I like for them to clarify what that means itself. But there's no question that our standing in the world has changed very dramatically. You know, even before, you know, Reagan got involved in firing those air traffic controllers, he was a respected individual. And you remember during the Iranian hostage crisis where they simply mocked us the day he was inaugurated, they let those hostages go. And there's no question that the leadership sets a very good measure of what kind of country we're going to be and whether our allies should trust us and whether our enemies should test us.
Dr. Carson, last question. You're a famed neurosurgeon, the best, some say the best pediatric neurosurgeon living in the world today. You're a man of deep faith. Explain how science and religion, in your mind, coexist.
I personally believe that a person's religious beliefs are the things that make them who they are, gives them a direction in their life. But I do not believe that religious beliefs should dictate one's public policies and stances. I find a very good measure of correlation between my religious beliefs and my scientific beliefs. People say, how can you be a scientist, how can you be a surgeon if you don't believe in certain things? Maybe those things aren't scientific. Maybe it's just propaganda. You know, I think what we should, I'm always willing to sit down and discuss things. And people who say, well, you have to believe this and you have to believe that, I'm willing to discuss with them why they believe what they believe and why I believe what I believe. But that can't be done in a soundbite type of interview. It needs to be done in a forum where you can sit down and deeply explain why you believe what you believe.
Well, I hope we just provided a taste of that forum. I look forward to having you back when you're an announced candidate, and we will have a much longer interview. Dr. Carson, stay safe on the campaign.